All right, guys. So there was a couple of questions at the end of that stream show that we were doing that came in, but due to the delay between YouTube and the systems and all that stuff, we didn't get to them. So if you guys see this and you jump back into the live, then we can answer those questions in this separate video. So there's going to be a little bit of dead air. Looks like we got one person coming in from YouTube. We'll see if we can get you guys back into it and then answer any, because there's a couple of good questions there. So if I'm not talking, that's because I'm waiting. There's a couple of good questions there. One of them was from, I think it was from Charles. Let's see if I could find it. Oh, Steven. Steven, if you come back, brother, we'll answer your question. Let's see if we can get you. All right, people are starting to fill in now. So yeah, and ask your question. We were talking about small business, how to grow your company today. A couple of the questions. We ended the stream. Questions were rolling in as we were signing off because of the delay with YouTube and things like that. Those questions didn't get answered, and so I can respond to a comment on it. But if we can get those people back in the stream, then I'll answer the questions live, and then any follow-up questions that come from that. So let's give it a couple of minutes and see if people can come in. And I'm just going to keep clicking through stuff while we wait. Do, 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 do. Hashtag awkward silence. All right, I'm going to see if I can type in the question. I think I'll just answer it, at least for one of them. All right. So one of the questions from Steven was, in terms of marketing, what should a UK company focus on when launching a product into the US manufacturing market? So it's a great question about people in Europe coming into the US market. And when you say launching a product in the US manufacturing market, I'm assuming you mean an industrial product. So something that you have to keep in mind is that, but I'd say the UK is closest to the US as far as the channels and the way that things operate. When I've talked to companies in Germany a lot with technical products and technical services, it's usually completely different from the way that they're doing it in other parts of that section of Europe. But for the UK guys, what you have to understand is US people have no issue purchasing products from companies that are overseas, especially companies in Europe. I mean, if you think about the manufacturing industry, there's so much presence from Germany here. What it comes down to is, are you marketing in the right channels? If your product's good and it provides a solution, it does not matter if you're from the UK, Germany, the Ukraine, or North Carolina. It doesn't matter. But what you have to focus on is that if you're not marketing the right channels, which for you, the right channels are going to be on LinkedIn, then you're never going to get the brand awareness that you need around there. Also, something that helps is having somebody here in the US as a US location to be able to be the boots on the ground. So if you're not going to be able to physically come out on a weekly basis or a monthly basis to visit with potential customers, you really need to focus on having one person in the United States. We worked with a company that was based out of the UK. They had one person here. They were the president of the US operations. The UK office wasn't focusing on the right channels. They're kind of dabbling in it. They had a great product, a great solution. It was for nitrogen generation. I was completely behind it and passionate about it. They could kick butt here in the US, but they weren't focusing on the right channels. Now, once we started getting them to focus on the right channels, then their brand started picking up attention. But they had a location here in the US from a warehousing standpoint, and they also had a president of the US office that was here to be able to be the local person to answer the questions, visit the people, go to the shows, things like that. So two things would be, if you can set up a US office, even if it's literally a small office like the size of this studio, and having a body here to be able to meet with people, that's going to help. One thing that's changed with the marketing in the manufacturing industry is, and just the daily interaction, is that because of COVID, the manufacturing industry is more used to meeting remotely and more used to having Zoom calls or WebEx or go-to meetings or whatever it is. And because of that, you don't have to be right down the street from them to be trusted and right down the street from them to have a conversation. You can have a video meeting from the UK as long as your time zones can line up with them. But if you have somebody here in the US, that's going to be critical. You also have to understand the market here and the players and whatever it is that you're doing. So if you want to send a follow-up question, leave another comment about more specifically what type of manufacturing product it is, I can definitely dive deeper into it. But you have to look at it from standpoint having somebody here focusing on the right channels when it comes to, focusing on LinkedIn and making as much brand noise as possible, and trying to do things that your competitors that are maybe here in the US wouldn't do is really going to be the key to standing out. But as far as brand loyalty and stuff like that, most people in the US in the industrial market aren't going to care if the product comes from North Carolina or the UK or Germany. You just have to make sure your value proposition is good and focus on those channels to get the attention of the people that you're trying to sell to. The next question was coming from Mohammed. My product has high demand in foreign countries, but not my own country. Suggest a platform to market my product directly B2B. Depends on the country. So if you're in the Middle East, you got to kind of look at what is the market and where's the attention of that demographic. Where can you easily get a hold of them? Is it on LinkedIn? Maybe not. Maybe it's some other platform. I know like Germans and people in Germany, they are on LinkedIn, but they have their own social media platform that's kind of like a LinkedIn knockoff in Germany, which is called Xing, Xing. And it's basically B2B marketing for German people in Germany. And it's a great platform. It's just like LinkedIn. And I set up a profile on it and stuff like that. And then I realized everything was in German. And so I couldn't read or write any of it. So there's no point. But you have to look at where can you get the attention of the people. For most people in B2B, it's going to be LinkedIn. LinkedIn is not only in certain sections, it's worldwide. There's I don't even know how many users now. There's probably over 1 billion users worldwide on LinkedIn. So LinkedIn is going to be the shortest path of least resistance for you. And then you also have to look at the traditional marketing channels like email marketing, phone calls, things like that. But it really doesn't matter where, if your own country doesn't have a high demand for what it is that you're selling, that really doesn't matter. It does make it more difficult, though. I mean, if you think about it, if a different country has a high demand for what it is that you do, could you consider relocating to that country? I know it's different. From a U.S. standpoint, it's like we would just be like, "Oh, I'm going to move to that state." But for people moving to different countries, I know it's a little bit more difficult. So I don't know if that's an option, but I would ask that question: is it an option for you to relocate, or can you visit there frequently to be able to sell to that market? But if you can't go in person frequently because it's not an easy trip like it is for us here in the U.S., then I would say focus as much of your attention on LinkedIn. So I think that's all the questions that we had, right, Nick? Give me a thumbs up if we're good. Good to go. Nothing new is coming in. Like I said, there is a delay. So we just want to jump on here real quick, spend a couple minutes answering those questions because they were good and they may spark us to start a whole show around one of the questions. So make sure you guys continue to leave the questions. We're committed to you. We jump back in the live, knowing that most likely we're not going to get those people back, knowing that most likely the numbers of people that view it are going to be down because they've moved on. But we still jump back into it because we are committed to doing everything we can to help you guys out through your process and your journey of growing your small business, regardless of what industry you're in. So make sure you subscribe to all the channels, turn on notifications, and we will see you on the next one.